Welcome back, everyone. It is a lovely Saturday morning. It's Cool Us Too with Megan Cole. Oh, I haven't said with Megan Cole in a while.
I know. I mean, this podcast is about us, but yes.
It is about us, but it's about you guys too. But yes, this is the podcast for women in their 30s who are designing their dream life, whatever that means for them.
Yeah, man. Happy Saturday.
Happy Saturday.
I just we've been talking for 40 minutes now, and I was on a rampage, and now I've just come back down. So I need to get my energy back up.
She needs to get back up. Well, what better way to do that than to talk about
what's going on in our lives and the world?
The thing that has a chokehold on every millennial girl right now.
Shit. Well, funny enough, not every millennial girl, because none of my friends watch Summer House, by the way. None of them. So
they don't.
The only people I'm talking about this to is my sister, you and M. I tried. The second it broke, the statement came out. I took over the girls' chat for my girls here, and they were like, "Who are these people?" And I'm like, "Well, you're gonna start at season 3 because season 1 and 2 don't matter. You're gonna go through, and here's all your Anyways.
I've been talking about it with so many people, and I actually think it's a little bit like Scandival, where now people are like, okay, I have to watch Summer House.
1,000%.
Yeah. For anyone who has been living under a rock, no offense, but I mean, I'm sure you've seen stuff about this. West and Amanda are, I guess, together. I mean, I don't know. It's TBD. It's a bit TBD, but it appears that they're together. But I got a message from one of the girls I work with on the product team, and she's in the office with me a lot. So I knew she watched Summer House, and I got a message yesterday. It's 3 p.m. on a Friday, and it just says, "Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God." And I was like, oh my God, something in the product broke. And she just said, leaked audio.
Priorities.
I was like, oh my God, I know. And she goes, snake in the grass.
This is akin to when Taylor Swift got engaged, and I heard one of the staff in my office just scream, and I thought someone had died. Same reaction.
Yeah. I mean, I think you had a good take on this around how it compares to Scandival, because obviously with the Scandival situation, they were having a full-blown affair, right?
Secretive.
Secretive.
Cheating.
And it sounds like, this is not that.
The timelines, everyone was single.
The timelines. But from a girl friendship perspective, I am so much more enraged by this situation than I was Scandival, because I'm not saying that it's worse or better or whatever, but it hit me harder because it hit me harder because Sierra and Amanda's friendship is kind of the best or the most healthy part of the show in this current season of Summer House. And to see how there for Amanda Sierra has been, I'm just floored that Amanda could do something like this. And I'm floored because, okay, I know you have so much to say, but my final thing is I am floored because I was thinking a lot about how is Amanda going to come into the reunion? What is how is she going to be a sullen child? Is she going to defend their actions? And the fact that in that leaked audio, and I'm sure there's context that we're not seeing, but the fact that her argument is you cannot decide or control who you like and who you're attracted to, do better. I'm sorry, but do better. That cannot be your argument. That is so fucked up. Okay, go.
Okay,
go.
I have a question for you first. Do you think that their two-sided relationship is the healthiest friendship, or is Sierra's friendship to Amanda one of the healthiest and supportive?
Oh, that's a really good question.
Because I don't think it's reciprocal in what I'm seeing.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point to make, and I think Sierra she's proven herself to just be a very good friend.
Girl's girl.
Over the course of the seasons. And obviously the whole Amanda and Hannah Burner situation, I'm a Hannah Burner girl. I know a lot of people aren't, but I love Hannah. And so I've always wondered kind of like how that relationship fell apart and all the intricacies of that. So Amanda hasn't always been able to, I guess, invest in her friendships in maybe the way that we've seen Sierra do. So,
And I think we always blamed Kyle for that.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, fuck. Okay, so here's my other 2 cents on the Scandival thing. I think the difference between the two. So yes, they were having a full-blown affair. There was still a friendship element between Ariana and Raquel.
Yeah,
but
Rachel.
Not as deep as I would say the one with. And I think the other thing too is once caught, which is still shitty, Tom Sandoval and Raquel, you could tell they were remorseful. And like it did end. Do you know what I mean? Like it. So there was some, not redemption, but kind of in that sense. Like it was a really shitty thing to have happened. It was awful and betraying and all of those things. I think the thing that's lacking in this situation is self-awareness. And it seems like they risked it for literally nothing. Like the way
they went about this is so
sketchy.
Wild.
They lied to everyone.
So wild.
They Sierra has been such a good friend, confided so much in Amanda, specifically about West as a person and how he made her feel and how he made her feel unseen and insignificant, and how often as a black woman on the show, she feels almost like fetishized for being black, and then like the white girl comes in and takes the guy kind of thing. So I think there's layers to this situation, unfortunately, around race that didn't exist in Scandival. I think as well with all of this, they were just so shady. And it's, again, wasn't like it was a drunken hookup, which I think the Scandival situation started as a drunken post-party thing.
Yeah.
And then continued, which is also diabolical. But like, there's an element that you could like maybe understand if like alcohol was involved and then they realized they made a mistake and then pulled back, or if they were best friends for ages and ages and ages, tried to contain their feelings. Because again, I do think to some element, you can't control who you're attracted to, but you can control who you engage with, right?
You can control if you act on it or not.
Exactly. And I think with them, it's just like he was seeing, and she clearly was aware he was seeing other people at the same time. So it wasn't like he was pining after her. It's almost like she's the kind of woman that just equates her value and worth to male validation and attention. And it's like sad. She went from being married to Kyle to like now sleeping with him 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's not even like, are they official? They said in like the leaked audio, they were rushed to make this statement. So like, are they official? Has he stopped seeing other people? I can't imagine that pressure on that situation and that commitment phobe of a boy is.
I would assume that I mean, who knows actually? I obviously have no idea, but I would assume. We know them personally. Yeah, we know them personally. I would assume that they are official, given they've now gone to the Rangers game and like they're like flaunting.
I just feel like the thing about all of this is it clearly was not a mistake. And everything that Sierra confided that was her biggest fear or her biggest insecurity or the thing that was holding her back or keeping her walls up, they've done. And they've done it with no regard, no remorse, and just a complete selfishness that they don't really care who they're hurting in the process. And they think that they should just be entitled. There's an entitlement to this that I think it just reads so icky. And I think it's that ickiness to the situation that almost wasn't present with Scandival.
I mean, it was really icky, but
like this type of icky.
Yes, yeah, like I think Tink said it really well on her podcast on Wednesday. She was like, How did they think going to the Rangers game and flaunting their relationship was going to read? Like, what's the game plan here? Like, why are you doing that? Like, it's so icky that
they're like, we're going to live our lives now. And it's like, you are so
it's not been that long.
Self-centered.
It's not been that long.
Like this is so self-centered.
This isn't like, a few months on. And it's like, okay, we all have to go back to like, oh my God, I could probably talk about this all day.
There's zero consideration for anyone else. Anyways, it makes me really upset. But here's what I love about this situation. Sierra's about to have her Ariana Madix arc.
Oh my God, I'm so excited for her.
And this woman, like, first of all, there's no way in hell she's coming back to the show.
God, no.
Like, and if she is, there are going to be conditions, and West won't be there and Amanda won't be there.
Yeah,
if she comes back at all. But I don't think she's coming back.
I don't think she's coming back.
She is going to go on. She's been doing so much work hosting all these red carpets. She's going on Dancing with the Stars, which, can I just say, I feel so vindicated with the like renaissance of Dancing with the Stars, because I have been a season 1 fan of this fucking show. And everyone made fun of me for it.
Nicole has been watching this since
season 1
time. Yeah.
Like high school.
Do you rewatch?
On YouTube all the time. I have a cadence of videos I will send you right now because they are so good. Anyways.
I'm okay, but thanks.
No, whether you like it or not, you're getting them. Appreciate that you think you don't need it, but I disagree. She's about to do that. She's going to keep posting. She's going to date someone big. And like, I just see her, Paige, and Hannah collectively doing more and coming out with more and like being seen more together.
I would actually pay $100 right now to read their group chat.
If they don't bring Sierra on Giggly Squad once this season is wrapped, I guess there's like an exploitive kind of tendency, but I feel like if she was going to do any sort of interview, she would do Giggly Squad.
Well, other than Marie Claire, but.
Well, yeah, sometimes like podcast.
Yeah.
Anyways, the whole situation is diabolical. And I think we're very, very, very clearly Team Sierra. I also just think like the way Amanda's moving this season is really puzzling. And even some of her like confessionals.
Yeah.
I'm just like, we thought this was a good idea?
When she said, look at my butt while I walk away. That was so
insane?
weird. I was like,
are you insane? You are still married at that point. And you were weird. You told Sierra you were going over into the guise of like, I'm going to go sit with him and this girl to like break them up. And you just cuddled in with him and then asked him to look at your ass as you walked away.
It's very
Pardon?
weird.
When she was also in her confessional talking about Ben being like, there's full group chats about you wanting to sleep with me. How dare me? How dare you, sir? And she's like trying to have like the Paige humor, I think, a little bit.
Yeah.
In like how she's delivering some of these lines, which is also just weird because it's coming off try hard. Anyways, I digress.
Yeah, it's been a lot. And for anyone else has thoughts and feelings, I'm sure that you do. If you're a fan of Summer House, please do DM us and let us know what
Team
you're
Sierra.
thinking.
Also, can I just say, I think Mia is one of the best additions to Summer House.
She was made for reality TV.
10 seasons that I've been like, she is one of the best new additions. Like, I want a show of her, Sierra, Paige,
KJ.
Hannah, and KJ. I also love KJ, and
I'm
I quite like
obsessed.
Dara. Like, Dara is an influencer that I've been following for a while pre-Summer House.
Oh, really? I didn't know she existed.
As
She's
like
so cool.
a makeup and like skincare. I love her videos. They're just like, they do something for me. Anyways, I also really like Bailey. I don't know what's happening with, what's the other one's name?
Levi.
She's
they've
just
sort of just like not shown her at all.
No, and I'm like,
or she's not there. I don't know. Maybe she's just not there.
Maybe, but I just feel like I feel like there's something there with those two.
Okay, final thing. Did you see the reunion seating chart. For anyone who hasn't seen it yet, well, they probably will have by the time this pod episode comes out, but Kyle and Sierra next to each other with West and Amanda on the other side, and then Lindsay right next to Kyle. I was like, oh my God, this is going to be insane. Because Lindsay's made this her full-time job. Like, this is like, Lindsay is coming to take no prisoners. She is like, receipts, you know? So.
Which is crazy also because Lindsay was like barely there this season.
I know. And
I love
like,
that for her.
no,
I love pregnant and Mama Lindsay. Like,
Yeah,
this
me
is
too.
the best version of her. And I am excited to see In the City, specifically for her. I could do without Danielle, could do without Kyle and Amanda in it. But anyways.
15 minutes later.
And that's the episode, guys. Also, this is going to be a really weird transition for us.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of, I was actually thinking about the transition. I think like these are the types of conversations and like pop culture things that like take up space in our brains outside of.
This is where we escape to, guys.
This is where we escape to when we are drowning in work.
Yeah. Yeah. I've also had a really shitty few weeks in a lot of ways. And I feel like this is like my little like nugget to get into. But
yeah,
anyways.
Your work has been stressful. And well, when
Along
we were
with other things, but yes.
Yeah, exactly. And when we were reflecting on the episode and kind of like how we wanted to talk about decentering work, I think it's
Which is what we're talking about today, by the way.
Which is what we're talking about today. Well, this will be the title of the episode.
Yeah.
So like 6 months ago, I had something that like surprised me, like something bad that surprised me at work. And like it was my fault. And it was really traumatic for me. And I'm not going to get into detail, but it was really, really scary. And Nicole kind of talked me off a ledge. And that situation made me reflect on just how much of my identity is wrapped up in my work, because I made a mistake and that had like a cascading effect on the way I viewed myself, my mental health. Like I'm okay. And
your security. Yeah.
My security, like what was I even doing, excuse me, with my life. And I think it had a larger impact than maybe I thought it would. And so we had a conversation at that point that was very, very geared towards like, whoa, it's crazy how wrapped up our identity is in how well we are doing at work, and just how much we work. And then I know so.
And then in the last like few weeks, stuff's been going on, personal life and work, but it's just caused a little bit of a reckoning within myself of if something goes wrong at work, the only way I take it is personally, which is not healthy. And it trickles in or takes over other parts of my life. And I had someone recently say to me that, again, if this was my business, right, it would be understandable to take things as personally. It would be understandable to put in, nights and weekends and, take up space and time from other things in my life. But it's not. It's someone else's business. And while I'm still committed and invested and believe in what I'm doing, I can't do that at the expense of myself and the expense of my health and my worth and other areas of my life. So I've been really doing a lot around my identity the last few weeks. And this conversation just feels so timely. And I think we just wanted to, honestly, this is probably going to be a less structured episode than a lot of our other ones, but just more of a conversation, I think, between you and I. But I think for us as women and many other women in our age category, we were told from such a young age to work hard and apply yourself and strive for success and achieve and break the glass ceiling and, keep hustling, keep doing this, stand on your own 2 feet. And in many ways, en masse, we are the first generation to be able to do that as women. Not to say that there haven't been women that have come before us, but not at this scale.
Right.
And I think that that has altered in us what our value and purpose is in a lot of ways. Some women don't have this problem, but I think for people that are very similar to you and I, who are naturally just producers and doers, it's almost, is conflated the right word? Like, not conflated.
Are you trying to say like we've conflated our success with
Yes.
our value as humans?
Yes. Sorry. Thank you.
Yeah.
We share a brain.
Yeah. And I think that's true. I mean, like specifically our success at work.
Yeah.
I think there are things that sit around that, like our success at being in a relationship, like a romantic relationship, for instance, that has an impact as well from society. But I think you and I in particular, we're very different in a lot of ways, but one of the things we have in common, other than the fact that we work in a very similar field, is just like this unrelenting work ethic, which in work, like your company very much appreciates, right? And I think it's really, I would never want to, I love my work ethic. I think I love that about myself. Like I'll always work really hard, but I think there has to be limits. And I was saying before we got on, I don't even know, like a vulnerable moment here. Like I'm not decentering work right now at all. Like I worked like 10, 12-hour days every day this week. I'm not doing a good job of decentering work from my life. I think one of the questions you sent through was like, what does a good or a bad day look like?
Yeah.
And how much does work have to do with it? So much.
Yeah.
So much, which to some extent is fair because you spend so much time, like 8 hours a day working, right? So if you have a bad day at work, that does trickle into the rest of your day. But should it? Is there limits that we can put in place to make, like, soften that impact? I don't know.
Well, I think it comes back to, if I was to ask you who you are, what would you say first? Because
I think I would probably, I don't think it would be the first thing, but it would be the second or third thing.
yeah, like the first would be like my
work
name.
would be yeah.
Like I'm Nicole. I'm, whatever. And I'm this.
Yeah.
And I think the thing for me that's almost set this off, and it's so sad that it's come to it, is, and you sent a TikTok about the life circle, right? There's like 8 categories in our life that should be typically in perfect harmony. So whether that is fun and recreation, money and security, career, relationships and partners, there's 8 of them. I'm not going to get into all of them, but my circle of life had career at the center of it, not as part of the wheel. And as a result, other categories in my life, mainly my recreation and fun, partners and relationships, and health, have been fucking ringing the alarm massively. And I would say, honestly, the one that's rung the largest alarm is health. Because in the last few years, I've been quite sick at various intervals. I've now seen the result of like stress on my body as it relates to like my fertility, which we will get into in a future episode. But there are things that like physically I feel that I shouldn't about my job. Like I wear my stress, or I wear the pressure that frankly I put on myself, and I take it so personally. And the problem with all of that is that all of the other places where I could add my value or could add to the who am I conversation, I'm neglecting. or I
Yeah.
don't have the energy or time for. But it also at the same time feels like all those other categories are dependent on my career, right? Like to have money and security, well, I have to have a job. To, be able to have health insurance and afford my gym and afford all the things for like my health and fitness, I need my job. To be able to have fun and recreation, well, I need to make money and do all of these things.
Mm.
And so it often feels like all of these other categories are so dependent on it, which makes then the weight and the worth of my career that much greater.
Yeah. I think the nuance there though is like you do need your job for those things, but how do you retain your job, still work hard and be proud of what you're doing, but not take on the like burnout and stress? And like, is that even possible? I think that's that's the crux of it, is like, it's not saying don't work, because we all have to work,
Yeah.
but like, how do you find a way to make that working not the center of your universe? And I'm saying this as someone who has not figured that out.
No. And I think what this moment for me has done has forced me almost to like audit my days a little bit more. And so, what is stressing me out most at work? What am I taking the most personally? Where am I spending the most time?
Mm.
And what do I actually think is the most impactful or valuable thing that I'm doing? And how much time do I get to do that? Because all of those pieces are kind of out of whack right now for me. And I think that also has a large role to play in why I feel the way I do about my job, and why I feel maybe I have to put in more effort or more time to then be able to do the impactful things. Like I often on a Sunday will be like, I'm just going to clean my inbox and reply to emails. So then I get into Monday and I can just focus on what I need to focus on. Or I'm like, I'm going to stay till 6 just to get this done so that tomorrow's easier. Like there are only so many hours in a day. And every time I do that, I'm taking away from something else in my life. And that to me is what the biggest challenge has been in all of this. And that's not to say that there aren't times when that's necessary, right? There's obviously busy times. Like there's obviously projects and moments where you're going to have to maybe do that a little bit, but there has to be a balance. And it can't
Yeah, it can't be your baseline.
My baseline. And my baseline has been, okay, I just have to get through this next thing. Okay, I just have to do this. Okay, I just one more of this. But it's never just one more. It's never just getting through it. It's never just surviving. It is the baseline. Because one of the questions that came up when I was doing this for the episode was the question around, do you think ambition in women is actually celebrated, or do you think it's quietly exploited sometimes?
Oh, I mean, I think both.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think both for sure. I think ambition, especially when you have a female boss, I think is often really celebrated, like your level of ambition. I'm not saying that my male bosses in the past didn't celebrate my ambition, but I do think that there's kind of like a I see you thing going on when you have a female boss who's like been there, done that. But I do think that, we talk about like when we talk about marriage or relationships, like heterosexual ones, we often talk about how women take on that like silent work in the relationship, or like the mental load or the emotional labor of planning and ensuring that everything's going okay. And I think that often happens in a work capacity as well. So I think that that's where the exploitation comes in. Like, I've actually got a really good example. I recently noticed something wasn't working. My boss noticed it wasn't working. And I just said, I'll fix it. And it's not a small project. It's not small. It's pretty big. It's a lot of like cross-functional leaders that I need to wrangle together and come up with a solution for. And now I'm frustrated because I'm stuck in a situation where I have additional work on my plate, and I raised my hand to do that. because I was like,
Yep.
I know that I can help fix this, and I know it will make our business stronger, and it will make my life easier too, but it's not in my remit. So I shouldn't really be doing it. And so I guess no one exploited that because I raised my hand, but no one said, no, that's not your job. Do you know what I mean? So it's like that weird tension of, and those are the types of things where I'm like, I would love for us to maybe have someone come on the podcast to talk about those types of situations, because I do it without realizing I'm doing it. And then what happens is I get frustrated further down the line, and that's not really fair, right? So like, how do I set myself up for success so that I'm not raising my hand for things that I don't need to be? Like another example is I wrote a business case for something I didn't believe in because someone asked me to do it. And so I ended up, the business case was actually the antithesis of a business case, but I wrote it for something that I didn't even want to do because I was like, I can do that and I can prove my value and I can, so it's like that like desire to be needed and to do a good job, even in situations where it's not something that you should be taking on. I don't know how to stop myself from doing that. So I don't know if that really answers your question, because it's not really exploitation. I'm almost exploiting myself, question mark.
Well, I think there's also a transition that is really difficult for people like you or I to make, because we get to where we are in our career because we are the people that raise our hands. We are the ones that are just on the ground doing it, fixing problems, solving. And as individual contributors, that's great. But when you have, people management requirements, when you have, strategy and oversight requirements, when you have to give direction and move into leadership, and you have those responsibilities, it can be really hard to let go of the, okay, I will fix this, or I can do this, or I can manage it mentality of like an individual contributor. And what happens is you become resentful because you're spending so much time doing those kind of ad hoc projects and less time managing, mentoring your staff, driving operational efficiencies, or creating and leading strategy for then your team to execute.
Which is then where you start overworking and working later.
And then you start feeling like you're not doing enough and you're not doing your job properly. And it's this whole kind of vicious circle. And I had something recently where I was asked basically about this responsibility at work and whether or not I needed someone to come in to do it or not. And my gut reaction was, well, okay, like I think we can save money if like, I think I could do it, like blah, blah, blah. And I had someone else on the leadership team saying, you're going to burn yourself out. Like, can you do this? Yes. Can you do it and also do everything else you need to do? No. And where are you most valuable right now? Because it's not this. Yeah. And I think because I was also just in a really rough headspace regardless, I was looking at, trying to prove my value, but being like, I can do it, I can take it, I can do it. But the reality is I didn't get to where I am because they didn't see my value as like a leader.
Yeah. And I think, I'm really glad you brought up the like proving your value and like not being in the right headspace. Because as we've been talking about this, it's not something I think about a lot, but I do think that there is a through line here of, and no one talks about this, you are not consistently like in the pocket, as we often say, at work. My mental health is not consistent. Like it fluctuates. Some days I have anxious days, some days I don't. And so what makes this challenge even harder is that sometimes I find myself coming out of a meeting being like, oh, the energy felt kind of flat in that. Oh, I don't know. Did I do a good job in that meeting? Oh, and then my social anxiety kicks in. And then I'm like, sure, I'll raise my hand to do this project because I want to prove myself. I want people to see how valuable I am, which is not smart, but like I'm doing it on autopilot. I don't even realize I'm doing it. And so then you end up in a situation maybe a few days later or a couple weeks later where you're like feeling you're not in your luteal phase, and you're like, oh, I actually feel great and I know my worth, and why did I take this on? Like, it's almost like you're like, not different people, but like we're not
You are, though.
consistently we're not
Men-
consistently acting as
From the same
effectively.
place.
Yeah.
No, and I think this is, again, there are differences between men and women. And at our base, it's the hormonal calendar, right? Men operate on a 24-hour hormonal calendar. Women, it's give or take a 28-day cycle. And so who you are at different points of that cycle varies greatly. Like, you are then, sometimes you are on the top of the mountain. I could run a fucking Ironman. I could do all of the things. But again, that annoying thing is that lasts for like 2-3 days. And then there's 2 weeks where I feel like I've got rocks in my backpack and I'm climbing up a hill with sand that I keep climbing down. Like, that's what I'm working against. And it's not fair, but life isn't fair. That's just the cards we're dealt. But we also have to recognize that we're not always coming from the same foundation.
Yeah. And I think we're not particularly good at giving ourselves grace for that.
And I'm going to say the thing that maybe I shouldn't say right now, but like, one of the things why I think I index so hard on being quote unquote successful or have achieving so much with where I'm at now in my job, because that hasn't always been the case. I really, because I don't have those other categories filled right now, because I'm not in a relationship, because I'm not a mom, because I don't have these other things to lean on, I almost feel like I have to double down on this to prove my value, when in reality, the healthier thing to do would be to step off the gas a little bit and spend more time investing in these other places so that who I am is not solely dependent on what I do.
Yeah. I think that's a very vulnerable thing to say, but I think it's so true. Like, I do that for sure. And also, it means that if someone emails you at 7 p.m. and you're sitting on the couch eating your dinner, the kids aren't you know, like got kids running around, like you're like, oh, I can respond to this email.
Exactly.
Like, no worries.
I can, but you shouldn't.
And I'm not saying that people who have kids don't do that, right? I know so many people that have to work outside of, you know, their 9 to 5, and they're also managing having children. But I guess what I'm trying to say is, it feels like, why wouldn't I? In some situations, it feels like, why wouldn't I just respond to this? Like, I'm 2 steps away from my laptop, and that is tricky.
Yeah. And I think there's an episode we can do too. Like, I just bought Emma Greed's book called Start With Yourself. She's been doing the circuits right now about this book, about how, you know, what it takes to be successful, right? And be a successful working mom. Like, she goes out and talks about how she basically has 3 hours with her kids a day. And she's like, that's fine with me, right? And I think for someone like her at that point in her life where she's at, that makes sense, right? She's got the kids, she's got the partner, she's now focused on the business and growing and all of these things. And I don't disagree with a lot of what she says, right? I don't disagree about what it takes to be successful. But I think at this point in my life where I'm at right now, I don't want my success to solely be about my career. And that means then I'm going to maybe have to take my foot off the gas a little bit to invest more time in the other areas. And the challenging and annoying thing is why I think I've over-indexed on career, or put more invested into my career, is because it's one of the only things on that wheel that I can really control.
I know. It's
like,
so tough.
You can't control your health, really, at the end of the day. You can control like what you eat and, you know, nutrition and all that, but like, you could get sick tomorrow and you never know. Yeah. There's a huge component of luck and timing that comes into meeting your person. You know, there's all these other areas. It's really difficult. And as someone who likes to control and know things and have steadiness, it's understandable, I think, why I've invested as much as I have in my career. Especially after, like, when we go back, if you haven't listened to my episode that we did on, like, is it too late to start over? coming out of what I came out of in, 2018, 2019, like I can, intellectualize and understand why I've done things the way that I have, because I needed security, because I needed stability, because I needed something that I could control. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, again, just to parse that out, like invested so much, it's like maybe the right way of thinking about this is considering the different elements of what you're investing. So it's like the time piece, which is something that you can control. So we've talked about really only trying to work 9 to 5. That's like that's one element of investment. Another element of investment is your like emotions, or your how much stock you put in your performance. Another is like your mental health, and like stress. Yeah. Like there are different elements that maybe if someone's right before we jumped on, I was like, I'm not going to have any advice for people because I am not doing a great job at this. But in hearing you reflect on this, it's like that might be a really good way of sort of structuring how you think through. If you're in a similar position to the way we are, like how do you lessen the load in those different areas of investment?
Yeah. I don't see, like, there's so many people, like so much discourse around like quiet quitting and like, doing the bare minimum. And like, the reality is at my core, that is not who I am.
No.
Nor is that who I want to be. So
I want to be proud of what I'm delivering. I want to be excited by my 9 to 5. Like, and by no means are we saying like I don't agree with quiet quitting.
No, I don't at all.
For myself.
It drives me nuts. Well,
yeah.
Honestly, I don't agree with it at all, to be honest with you. That's Fair. A different conversation. But I think for right now, how I'm approaching this, because like you said, I don't have this figured out. I'm doing that audit of like, where am I spending the most time? What am I saying yes to that I should be saying no to? What am I doing, or what am I getting in the way of my team doing that I don't need to be doing? And where actually is my real value and the real opportunity that I can do to have the most impact? So auditing that, not to say self-care solves all your problems, but I took the afternoon. I was there from like noon until 9 p.m. I went to Le Nordique in Chelsea. I got a massage. I spent the day by myself. I read an entire book. I did not have my phone. They now have a no phones policy. Wow. So I was off my phone for 9 hours. I think I checked it once when I went to like the bathroom or something. But intentionally staying off my phone, I think, is another thing that I'm going to try implement, and just have moments that I'm not totally accessible. I think that is one of the things that is draining me more than anything, is the fact that people can get a hold of me and get something from me whenever they want. And it needs to be whenever I want.
Yeah.
Right.
And also it's like, yeah, it's that immediacy factor too. I notice this in myself. If someone doesn't get back to me when I've asked them a question during the workday, within 5 minutes, I'm like, what are you doing? Like, I'm so impatient. I'm like, I need an answer immediately. So I'm primed to be like, this is critical. Like and it's like, it's not actually. Like, you're putting too much pressure on this situation. And I'm the one who's doing that. So taking that step back is, I think, really important. I
think where the other thing is too, is like, where am I, and this is a reflection for myself, where am I doing that to my team? Totally. But also, where am I not putting enough pressure on them to then where I feel where everything is urgent? Or where am I not managing them in a way where it's more consistent in delivery versus everything being rushed and urgent?
Yeah. I don't know if I talked about this on the podcast, but I had sort of like a real wobble at work like a month ago, where I just like, I love my team so much. And I love that we could have a really honest conversation, like two of the people I manage, where they were setting up a project management, like their respective sort of project management systems for their teams. And I was like, this is your show. You set it up the way that you'd like to. I'm here to support, whatever. But then I was feeling really like bad that I didn't set it up. Like I was like, oh my God, like, isn't this what I'm supposed to be doing for them? Like, you know, building the support system for them to be able to execute their jobs. And instead they're like having to do it for them. So then I'm like swirling in my own head, being like, oh my God. And I kind of, it's like subconscious. I don't even really realize it's happening. And then we have a week of like, I'm like, well, now I need to get more, and now I need to understand what they're doing. Like, and again, they were going to come to me and explain like how they'd set everything up. So then I'm like in their business. Like I'm like going through their templates. I'm like looking at stuff. And I saw something for a specific project and I like went and changed it. And I got a message from my events director who was like, hey, did you just change that task? Because there's like automations that are set up that you've now basically like
ruined.
Like, you've ruined. Like now I need to go in and fix your fuck up. She didn't say it like that. And I was like, yeah, that was me. I'm sorry. I was trying to be helpful, but I wasn't being helpful. And
she was sometimes, like, we just need to get out of our team's way.
Okay, like just stop. Like, just can you stop? And I was like, yeah, no worries. And then in our next one-to-one, I was like, listen, vulnerable moment. I'm swirling. I'm trying to figure out how I can be helpful. And she's like, yeah, I wanted to throw my laptop across the room. Like, and like, we have a great relationship. So we were laughing about it. But I was like, I needed to step away. And I wrote out what my job is. I wrote out, here's where you can be impactful. Here are the things that you control. Here are the things that your team needs from you. Not this shit. They don't need you going into their project management template and messing with the way that they want to run things. Like you need to know how it works, but you do not need to be in the weeds to this extent. And I'm telling this story because I guess the problem with figuring out where the line is and how much to invest is it changes as you grow in your job and in your career. And I am constantly trying to figure out where that line is and where I can be most impactful. And I feel like I'm in a real point of like a real up level right now, where like I'm in like a moment of change and I'm trying to figure out how to do it. And that in and of itself makes it hard to figure out if you're investing the right amount, if you're over invested, if you're burnt out, because you're trying to figure out all of this stuff all at the same time. So I'm trying to be kind to myself, but it's hard.
Yeah, I had something kind of similar at my conference where like I had kind of taken my hands off the wheel a little bit in like the execution. And I got on site and I was just feeling really weird. I felt like I was like, what's my value? Like, what am I supposed to be doing here? Because like my team's running around doing all these things and it's, you know, they've asked me to get out of the weeds and I really struggled. I was like, what am I supposed to be doing? And there was one morning, like we host a golf tournament along with our conference. And so I was going to go to the tournament and do all of this stuff. And I got there first thing and I just grabbed the list and started checking in our members to get on the bus. And after the fact, I was having a conversation with my events manager being like, we have people for that. She's like, you are leadership. You checking in our members is not leadership. She's like, let us help you like elevate yourself. Like that's what we're here for. And it was a really big reckoning moment for myself of being like, okay, well, someone's got to check them in. I'm just going to do it.
Well, and it would be very different if she said, hey, we need extra support.
Well, like
you'd be like, of course, like all hands on deck, no problem.
Yeah, and I'm like, well, I'm going to check people in. I'll do this, blah, blah, blah. And it was just a really big moment of reflection for me where I was like, yeah, no, that's fair. Because when I look at my male counterparts, none of them would do that.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Like none of them would start like they would do it if, again, they were asked and it was like, we need extra hands. Like my president and I were stuffing badges the day before because they needed extra support, which is no problem. We're happy to do it. But they wouldn't naturally go and do it and pick it up. They would assume someone else has got it. And that to me is a big, the other thing that I've realized as well is my good enough doesn't always need to be the collective good enough. Like some things can just be, right? It's good to have standards. It's good to have direction and all those things, but like things don't have to be perfect. And
or done the way you would do them.
yes.
Not even good enough, just like done the way that you like them to be done.
And one of the things that I've started doing, especially in like my reviews and approval, is rather than me wordsmithing something and like going in and tracking changes and writing it how I would run, like I'll use a piece of copy, for example, writing it how I would want to write it. I just scan it right now to make sure policy, the way we're saying things is appropriate. But if I have feedback or I don't like something about it, rather than changing it myself, I'm communicating that feedback so that they can change it.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it's so messy, and hopefully this has felt like we see you if you're listening to us, and this is something that you're going through. I do want to ask a question to you, Cole, because like I know you're kind of going through it right now, just like trying to figure this out.
Well, in all
and so
aspects.
am I. but you've really been focused on like how can over the last few weeks. And I wanted to ask, what are you most afraid of if you take your foot off the gas? Just a little bit. Like if you say, okay, I'm going to continue working incredibly hard at work, but I'm going to try and set some firmer boundaries around my time, and also let's say like how much I align my success at work with my identity. Let's say that you're like, that's my goal. What worries you the most? What's your fear about that?
There's two answers. One is about what I think would happen at my job, and then the second is what would happen to me.
Okay, what would
and they're
happen
both
to you?
Incredibly self-centered.
Well, anxiety is inherently self-centered.
But right? They are, but yes, but this is my honest answer. My honest answer is if I took my foot off the gas and stopped doing everything, everything would fall apart. I'm not that important, right? And if things fall apart because I take my foot off the gas and don't fix everything, that's a bigger problem.
That's a systemic issue.
That's a systemic issue that like duct tape isn't going to fix, and I'm the duct tape, you know? But inherently that is very self-centered. That is me assuming that I am doing everything. And the reality is I'm not. There's other people that can step up and do things. And then if everything fell apart, I'd lose my job. I'd lose everything. And like, again, having had to do like 7 years ago, the start over thing, I think there's PTSD from all of that is still very much present for me. But the reality is I'm capable. I'm hardworking. I'm great at what I do. I'd be okay.
You'd definitely be okay.
Do you know what I mean? Like it's like the lizard brain part of me versus like the rational brain.
Yeah.
But those are my honest answers. What about you?
I think it's probably really similar, although I don't think everything would fall apart. I think I also work for a bigger company than you, so I think that's part of it. Like there are more people. So I don't feel like everything would fall apart if I were to go somewhere, which is part of the reason I work so hard, because I'm like, got to prove my value, which is a whole other thing. But I think that if I didn't have, like from a personal level, I think feeling like I take my foot off the gas, it's like, what's my purpose? Like, what am I doing? And I think, as I've gotten older, just by the nature of getting older is that you have more perspective. And so I feel that less and less these days. Yeah. And I think that this actually relates to, I still think about it. Of course, it's so much of my time and my actual day-to-day and my purpose is work related. And I really love my job. So sometimes that's okay, right? As long as I have purpose outside of work as well.
Yep.
But I do think that this relates to that question we were asking ourselves of like, before we jumped on, we were asking ourselves, would we, if we won the lottery tomorrow, would we keep working? And Nicole, you were saying how like 5 years ago, I think you said you would.
Even 5 months ago.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah. I would like, if I was given the chance to like live a soft life to like, I didn't have to work, what would I do? And I've always said I would probably still work. Because I do think inherently, and like one of the girls in one of the TikToks you sent me said this, I do believe to some element of me being on this planet is what I can produce and contribute, right? I think that there is something in there that I do still get value out of. It's not my entire purpose and entire worth, but I think there's something that I get out of producing.
Yeah, totally.
So I had always said I would probably still work. If you asked me today what I would do, I would transition out of my job. I wouldn't leave them high and dry. I would do a handover. I would get through, finish up projects and all of that thing. So it wouldn't
Someone
be immediate.
from your work is listening and they're like,
no. But I think like I would never ever leave
no,
them
of course you wouldn't.
And I would probably see the big project I'm working on through, honestly.
Yeah.
So, but I would have a plan to transition out of it. I would probably then, full transparency, go and have a baby on my own and just invest more in that, in my personal life, in my relationships, in fun, in travel and experiences. Like I would just recalibrate. And then once I felt that kind of that, cycle of life or whatever is kind of in better harmony, then I would look to do things like whether it's consulting, starting my own thing, producing something else, volunteering. Like I don't think I would just not do anything. Yeah. But I would never do something if I didn't have to. I don't think any of us would. And I would never trade in my time for money if I didn't need the money.
Yeah. I mean, I would quit too. I would do it graciously. But yeah, I would travel.
Yeah.
Maybe rent out my, or I wouldn't even need to rent it out or Airbnb my place, but I'd go to Europe, spend some time in Europe, go to some new places I've never been, have an amazing time, like exploring the world. I would definitely write. Like I would do some writing just for myself.
Yep.
And then, I would probably consult in a way that felt right to me. Like I love working. So, but I would take some time off for sure. And I think this is like a really cool full circle moment because I think that like what we're talking about, those are the areas that we need to invest our time and our identity into, that we are trying to reinvest into work right now. Like when you think about like what would make you happy, if you remove the need to make money, which we just did, the baby, the travel, the experiences, like those are the things that actually matter, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I also think that inherently you and I have always been creative. Like you've always like you more than me, but I've written too, or like I'll design clothes or all like there's just a creative aspect that I think we don't tap into in the same way anymore. That I think we would do. So I think the next step for you and I is to figure out, without winning lottery, how to make a shit ton of money so that we can get there eventually.
Yeah. And I think that's a good exercise for anyone who's listening. Like if you didn't need to make money, if you were good and you could do what you wanted, what are the areas in your life that you're investing in? Because I think it's very telling.
At what point do you have diminishing returns from those investments? Like at a certain point with what you're doing in your career, you're not actually getting out as much. Do you know what I mean?
Totally.
Like the extra 5 hours on a weekend realistically are not going to move the needle. And if they are, that's a bigger problem.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
This felt good. This felt very like cathartic.
I think so.
Yeah. I'm interested to know what people think and like your feedback. This is an episode that I really actually appreciate people DMing us and sending us comments or feedback on. So if you've got thoughts on this, let us know what you think, because I think it's something.
Yeah, I think it's very pervasive. I think this affects so many women in our age as they grow in their career and are trying to figure out how to do it all. So please let us know what you think. We will see you next week.
Love you. Bye.
Love you. Bye.